The CEO fell in love with the girl, asked for help in changing clothes. Two began a wonderful love. Hi, my wonderful family, where every moment is a story, and every story connects us closer. Today I come to you with a heartfelt request. We're so close to hitting an incredible milestone, 10,000 followers. And guess what? We have just 2 days left to make it happen. To make things more exciting, I've taken on a fun little challenge with my beautiful wife, who's sitting right here, giving me her most supportive smile as I speak. From the bottom of my heart, I'd love your help to make this dream come true. It's a small request, and I hope it doesn't feel like too much, but your support means the world to me. If you're ready to join me on this journey, type yes in the comments right now. Let's do this together. By the way, how did you like our last story? I've been eagerly waiting to hear your thoughts. Your feedback lights up my day, so don't forget to drop your comments below. And now, let's jump right into today's story, a tale I can't wait to share with all of you. Sit back, relax, and let's dive in together. The morning sun glinted off the steel and glass facade of Everhart Technologies headquarters, casting prismatic reflections across the bustling downtown street below. Inside his top-floor office, Thad Everhart stood before floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the city come alive. At 29, he was already being called the most innovative CEO in the tech industry, but success had begun to taste like ashes in his mouth. The weight of his Brioni suit felt suffocating today. Everything in his life was measured, calculated, perfect, and utterly boring. The morning's schedule lay on his desk, meticulously planned in 15-minute increments by his executive assistant. Board meetings, investor calls, product reviews, an endless parade of responsibilities that came with running a multi-billion-dollar empire. Mr. Everhart. His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. The board is waiting in the main conference room. Thad suppressed a sigh, straightening his Italian silk tie. On my way, Claire. The executive elevator awaited him, a private sanctuary of mahogany and brushed steel that only top-level management could access. As the doors slid closed, he caught his reflection in the polished walls. Grey eyes stared back at him, framed by dark brows and features that magazines often described as aristocratic. His black hair was perfectly styled, not a strand out of place. Everything about him screamed control, power, perfection. He hated it. The elevator began its descent from the 50th floor. Thad closed his eyes, mentally preparing for another day of crash. The impact nearly knocked him off his feet. The elevator had stopped at the 48th floor, the executive styling department, and someone had literally barreled into him. Designer clothes flew everywhere, a kaleidoscope of colors and fabrics raining down around them. Oh my God, I'm so dead, a feminine voice groaned. Thad looked down and felt the world stop spinning. She was sprawled across his chest, her copper-brown skin glowing under the elevator's soft lighting. Locks tipped with subtle gold cascaded around her face, some brushing against his suit. Her full lips were parted in shock, and her eyes, a mesmerizing amber color he'd never seen before, were wide with horror. I'm fired. I'm definitely fired, she whispered, scrambling to push herself up. Her hand pressed against his chest for leverage, and he felt the warmth of her touch through his shirt. Mr. Everhart, I am so sorry. There was a coffee spill in the styling department, and these suits need to be at the photo shoot in 20 minutes, and the other elevator was down, and I know I'm not supposed to use this one, but— Breathe, Thad interrupted, finding himself smiling for the first time in what felt like weeks. He helped her to her feet, noting how perfectly she fit against him. What's your name? Sage, she answered, nervously tucking a lock behind her ear. Sage Winters. I'm new to the styling department. Well, was new. Pretty sure this counts as the world's shortest employment record. Thad bent down to help her gather the scattered clothing, admiring how she immediately began checking each piece for damage. Her hands moved with professional precision, despite her flustered state. "These suits," he said, picking up what he recognized as a Tom Ford jacket, "they're for the Forbes shoot?" "Yes," she replied, carefully smoothing a non-existent wrinkle. "Your PR team wanted options for the most innovative under-30 feature, though I suppose after assaulting the CEO, I won't be styling anything except my resume." Her self-deprecating humor made him chuckle. "I don't fire people for making my day interesting." He handed her the last piece of clothing, deliberately letting their fingers brush, "though I might promote them." Sage's head snapped up, those remarkable amber eyes meeting his. A slight flush colored her cheeks, making her even more beautiful. "That's very generous but unnecessary. I'd settle for pretending this never happened, and maybe a recommendation for my next job. Or," Thad said, pressing the button to hold the elevator, "you could tell me why these particular pieces for the shoot." Sage blinked, then straightened her shoulders. Despite her embarrassment, professional pride took over. The magazine wanted to emphasize innovation while maintaining authority. Traditional power suits send the wrong message. Too old guard. But going too casual could undermine credibility. She gestured to a deep blue Armani piece. "This color photographs brilliantly, suggests depth and trustworthiness. Paired with a lighter shirt, no tie, it says, 'I'm successful enough to break the rules.'" Her passion was captivating. As she explained her styling choices, her hands moved expressively, her eyes lit up, and Thad found himself completely entranced. This wasn't the careful, measured interactions he was used to. Sage Winters radiated authenticity. "The styling department must be thrilled to have you," he said when she finished. "Actually," she admitted, "I'm just an assistant stylist. Been here 3 weeks. The senior stylists usually handle the executive shoots, but everyone's caught up in Milan Fashion Week. I've been studying the company aesthetic, though, creating mood boards for different executives based on their roles and public personas." "Including me?" That beautiful flush returned. "Maybe." "Show me." What?" "Show me your mood board. I have a board meeting in 10 minutes, but I want to see your vision. Come to my office at 2. Sage's eyes widened. "Mr. Everhart, I really don't think—" "Thad," he interrupted. "Call me Thad, and I do think 2 o'clock, unless you're busy." She glanced down at her phone, checking her schedule. The simple action spoke volumes about her professionalism. "I can move some things around." "Good." The elevator doors opened at the conference room level. "Don't forget the blue Armani. I think you're right about it." He stepped out, then turned back to catch her, still staring at him in disbelief. The doors began to close, and he couldn't resist adding, "Oh, and Sage, try not to run into any other CEOs today. I'd hate to get jealous." The last thing he saw was her startled laugh, and Thad knew his world had just shifted on its axis. The board meeting passed in a blur. Thad participated on autopilot, his mind constantly drifting to amber eyes and gold-tipped locks. He found himself checking his watch repeatedly, counting the hours until 2 o'clock. During a break, he did something he'd never done before. He looked up an employee's file. Sage Winters' resume was impressive. Fashion Institute of Technology graduate, scholarship student, internships at major fashion houses. She'd worked her way through school designing custom streetwear, building a small but loyal following on social media. Her portfolio showed an eye for blending classical elements with modern edge, but it was her personal statement that caught his attention. Fashion isn't about following trends or enforcing rules. It's about helping people become the truest version of themselves. The truest version of themselves. When was the last time he'd felt like his truest self? Somewhere between taking over the company at 25 and building it into a tech giant, he'd lost something essential. until a whirlwind of flying designer clothes and genuine smiles crashed into his perfectly ordered world. At 1:55, his intercom buzzed. "Mr. Everhart, Sage Winters is here. Send her in." She entered, carrying a professional portfolio case, dressed in a perfectly appropriate black blazer and pants, but with subtle gold accessories that matched her lock tips. The morning's flustered energy had been replaced with professional composure, though he noticed her fingers fidgeting with the portfolio's zipper. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Thad," she corrected herself. "I brought several concepts, but please understand these were just personal exercises, not official proposals." "Show me," he said, gesturing to the seating area by the windows. As she laid out her mood boards, Thad found himself fascinated by her methodology. She'd analyzed his public appearances, media coverage, and company messaging to create a cohesive vision that somehow captured exactly what he'd been trying to express. "This is brilliant," he said, examining a particularly innovative concept. "You've managed to maintain the authority of a CEO while incorporating elements that highlight our tech innovation." "That's the goal," she replied, growing more animated as she explained her choices. "Your current styling is impeccable, but it sometimes feels suffocating," he supplied. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. "I was going to say constrained," she said softly. "Constrained," he repeated, moving closer. "Like someone else's idea of who I should be?" "Exactly." She gathered her courage. "You're not just a CEO, you're a visionary who's reshaping the tech landscape. Your image should reflect that innovation while maintaining the confidence that comes with success. And what do you see when you look at me, Sage?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning beyond professional assessment. Sage's fingers traced the edge of a mood board, but her eyes never left his. "I see someone who's ready to break free from constraints," she finally answered. "Someone who could change more than just the tech world, if he dared." Thad's heart raced. No one had ever seen through his carefully constructed facade so clearly. "And what would you suggest?" "Trust your instincts," she said simply, "starting with that blue Armani for the Forbes shoot." He laughed, breaking the tension, but moved even closer. "Have dinner with me." "What?" She nearly dropped the mood board she was holding. "Dinner. With me. Not as a CEO with his stylist. As a man who's tired of constraints, having dinner with a woman who sees right through them." "That would be incredibly inappropriate," she protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "Probably," he agreed. "Does that bother you?" Sage bit her lower lip, and Thad had to force himself not to stare. "It should," she admitted. "It definitely should. But I've never been very good at following arbitrary rules." A smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. "That's why I had to create my own path in fashion." "Then create a new path with me," Thad said, taking her hand. Her skin was soft, but he could feel slight calluses, testament to years of hands-on work with fabrics and designs. Real work, not just theoretical knowledge. She looked at their joined hands, then back at his face. "People will talk. Let them. Your board won't approve. I don't care. You're making a habit of breaking rules today," she observed, but her fingers intertwined with his. "You crashed into my life and scattered everything perfectly arranged," he said, pulling her closer. "I think it's time to embrace the chaos." Her free hand came to rest on his chest, right over his thundering heart. "Just dinner. For now." His other hand cupped her cheek, tilting her face up to his. "But I have a feeling this is just the beginning." "This is crazy," she whispered, but she was leaning into his touch. "Completely insane," he agreed, and then he kissed her. The world didn't just stop. It exploded into 1,000 brilliant pieces. Her lips were soft, yielding, then demanding as she kissed him back. His hands tangled in her locks as her fingers gripped his shirt. They came together like two pieces of a puzzle neither knew was incomplete until that moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, Sage looked up at him with dazed eyes. "So, dinner?" Thad laughed, resting his forehead against hers. "Dinner. Tonight. I know a little place where no one will care that I'm a CEO or that you're revolutionizing corporate fashion." "I'd like that," she said, smoothing his now rumpled shirt with a professional touch that made him shiver. "But you still have to wear the blue Armani for Forbes." "Only if you're the one helping me into it," he replied, loving the way her cheeks flushed. As she gathered her mood boards, straightening them with trembling fingers, Thad watched her and knew with absolute certainty that his life would never be the same. The perfectly ordered world of Thaddeus Everhart had been utterly disrupted by a chance collision in an elevator, and he couldn't wait to see what chaos tomorrow would bring. When Sage reached the door, she turned back with a mischievous smile. "What time should I crash into you for dinner?" 7, he answered, already counting the hours. "Try to keep the flying designer clothes to a minimum this time." Her laughter echoed through his office long after she'd gone, and for the first time in years, Thad felt truly, completely alive. The rest of the afternoon passed in a productive haze. Board members and executives noticed something different about him, a spark in his eyes, an energy in his step. His assistant Claire did a double take when she heard him humming during a contract review. At precisely 6:55, his private elevator opened, and there she stood. She'd changed into a deep purple dress that hugged her curves while remaining elegant. Her locks swept up to expose her graceful neck. But it was her smile that took his breath away. Confident, eager, and just a little bit wicked. "Ready to break some rules?" she asked. Thad took her hand, pulling her close for another kiss. "With you?" "Always." As the elevator descended, carrying them toward their first dinner, and the beginning of their story, neither could have predicted the storms that lay ahead. But in that moment, surrounded by the lingering scent of her perfume and the electricity of new love, the future seemed full of nothing but possibility. Sometimes, the greatest journeys begin with a collision, and sometimes breaking all the rules leads to finding everything you never knew you needed. Chapter 2. Behind Closed Doors. Their first date turned into a second, then a third, until Sage lost count of how many evenings she'd spent discovering new sides of Thaddeus Everhart. Behind closed doors, away from the corporate world's prying eyes, he transformed from the powerful CEO into simply Thad. A man who laughed at her terrible puns and knew every constellation in the night sky. 3 weeks after their elevator collision, Sage stood in his private office suite, ostensibly for a fitting session. The entire floor had been cleared. Thad's orders. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a golden glow over the array of suits she'd carefully selected. "The navy pinstripe," she said professionally, though her heart raced as he emerged from the changing area. "It's perfect for the tech summit keynote." Thad caught her reflection in the mirror, his grey eyes darkening with familiar intensity. "The suit or the view?" "Both," she admitted, allowing herself a small smile as she approached. Her hands smoothed over his broad shoulders, adjusting the fit. "Though I might be biased. Professionally or personally?" He turned to face her, trapping her hands against his chest. "That depends," she murmured, "on whether the cameras are rolling." Their private moments had become a delicious game of restraint and release. During business hours, they maintained strict professionalism. She was the talented stylist, he was the CEO. But moments like this, alone in his office, the lines blurred dangerously. "No cameras," he assured her, fingers trailing down her arm. "No meetings, no interruptions." "Then, professionally," she stepped back with a teasing smile, "the suit is perfect. Personally, Her eyes raked over him appreciatively. "You make everything look good." Thad growled softly, reaching for her, but she danced away. "These alterations need to be marked," she reminded him, holding up her measuring tape like a shield. "You're torturing me, Sage." "I'm doing my job," she corrected, though her pulse quickened at his heated gaze. "Besides, you have the Beijing investors' video call in an hour. Cancel it." "Thad." "Fine," he conceded, standing still as she worked. "But have dinner with me tonight. There's something I want to show you." The intensity in his voice made her pause. "What kind of something?" "A piece of me nobody else sees." His hand caught hers as she measured his inseam. "Trust me?" The question carried weight beyond tonight's plans. Trust wasn't easy for Sage. She'd learned early that people who seemed too good to be true usually were. But over these weeks, Thad had proven himself different. He respected her boundaries, supported her career, and never once tried to leverage his position as CEO. "Yes," she said softly, "I trust you." His smile was brilliant. "Wear something casual. I'll pick you up at 7. The rest of the fitting passed in a haze of professional touches that felt anything but professional. Every brush of her fingers against him sent electricity coursing through her veins. By the time she finished marking the alterations, the air was thick with unspoken desire. "All done," she announced, her voice slightly breathless. "You'll be the best-dressed CEO at the summit." "Thanks to you." He caught her hand as she turned to pack up her supplies. Sage ... Whatever he planned to say was interrupted by his phone buzzing. The Beijing investors were early. "Go," she smiled, squeezing his hand before letting go. "Change the world. I'll see you tonight." His eyes promised things that made her shiver as she gathered her things and slipped out of his office. Back in the styling department, Sage tried to focus on her other clients, but her mind kept drifting to Thad. Their relationship had developed with surprising ease, despite their different worlds. He never made her feel less than equal, always genuinely interested in her perspectives on art, fashion, and life. At precisely 7, her apartment buzzer rang. Sage checked her reflection one last time. She'd chosen dark jeans, boots, and a cropped leather jacket over a silk camisole. Casual, but edgy, perfect for whatever surprise Thad had planned. She opened her door to find him similarly dressed down in jeans and a black Henley that showed off his athletic build. The sight of him in casual clothes still took her breath away. "You look amazing," he said, drinking her in. "So do you." She locked up, trying not to stare at how the Henley stretched across his shoulders. "Where are we going?" "You'll see." He led her to his car, not the usual chauffeured luxury sedan, but a sleek black sports car she'd never seen before. "Is this yours?" she asked as he opened her door. "One of my few personal indulgences." He slid into the driver's seat. "Sometimes I need to escape the CEO life." They drove out of the city, the sunset painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Thad handled the powerful car with easy confidence, one hand resting on her thigh as they talked about their days. "Close your eyes," he instructed, as they turned onto a private road. Sage complied, excitement building as she felt the car climb upward. When they finally stopped, Thad helped her out, positioning her carefully. "Okay," he whispered against her ear. "Open them." She gasped. They stood on a private hilltop overlooking the city lights. But what took her breath away was the converted warehouse before them. Through its massive windows, she could see an art studio filled with paintings and sculptures. "What is this place?" "My sanctuary." Thad took her hand, leading her inside. Where Thaddeus Everhart, the CEO, becomes just Thad, the failed artist. The space was incredible. High ceilings, exposed beams, and walls covered in abstract paintings. Various works in progress stood on easels, and a pottery wheel sat in one corner. Failed artist. Sage approached one of the paintings, a swirling mix of deep blues and golds that reminded her of a storm at sea. "These are beautiful." "They're honest," he said, watching her examine his work. "Something that's rare in my world. The board doesn't know about this place, neither does my family." The significance of him sharing this with her wasn't lost on Sage. "How long have you been painting?" "Since I was a kid. My father—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "He believed art was a hobby, not a career. When he died and I took over the company, I nearly gave it up entirely. This place saved my sanity." Sage moved from piece to piece, recognizing the emotion poured into each one. "Why show me?" Thad stepped behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. "Because you see me, not the CEO, not the Everhart heir, just me." She leaned back against his chest, overwhelmed by the trust he was placing in her. "Thank you for sharing this with me." His lips found her neck, sending shivers down her spine. "Dance with me." "There's no music." He pulled out his phone, and soft jazz filled the space. Problem solved. They swayed together in the moonlight streaming through the windows, the city twinkling below them like fallen stars. Sage felt herself falling deeper with every moment, every tender touch. "What are we doing, Thad?" she whispered against his chest. "Finding something real." His hands traced patterns on her back. "Unless you want to stop?" "No," she admitted, looking up at him. "That's what scares me. I don't want to stop." His kiss was gentle at first, then hungry as she responded. Her fingers tangled in his hair as he backed her against one of his canvases, lifting her easily, paint smeared on her jacket, but she couldn't bring herself to care. "Stay with me tonight," he breathed against her lips. "Here. There's an apartment upstairs." His eyes searched hers. "But only if you're ready." Sage looked around at his sanctuary, at the pieces of his soul displayed in paint and clay, then back at the man who'd trusted her with his deepest secret. "Show me," she said softly. He carried her up the industrial spiral staircase to a loft space that perfectly balanced luxury and artistry. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views, while comfortable furniture and eclectic art created an intimate atmosphere. "I've never brought anyone here before," he admitted, setting her down. "Never. This place, it's always been just mine." His fingers traced her cheekbone. "Until you." The weight of those words settled in her chest, expanding until she could hardly breathe. She reached up, pulling him down for a kiss that expressed everything she couldn't say. They came together, slowly, reverently, learning each other by touch and taste. Clothes fell away between kisses and whispered words of devotion. When they finally joined, the connection was more than physical. It was two souls recognizing their missing pieces. Afterward, tangled in silk sheets with the city lights creating patterns on their skin, Sage traced the muscles of his chest. "Tell me about this painting," she asked, nodding to a canvas opposite the bed. Thad kissed her shoulder, explaining how he'd created it during a particularly difficult period after his father's death. Soon they were exploring the loft together, him describing each piece while she listened, wrapped in his shirt. Dawn found them on the balcony, sharing coffee and watching the sunrise. Sage fit perfectly in his lap, her head resting on his shoulder. "I should get you home," he said reluctantly. "We both have work." She agreed, making no move to leave. "The CEO has a very important styling session this morning." "Does he?" Thad's hand slipped under his shirt she wore. "With anyone I know?" "Just this amazing stylist who might be falling for him." His heart skipped at her words. "Might be?" Sage turned in his lap, cupping his face. "Definitely is," she corrected, kissing him softly. "But don't let it go to your head." Too late. He stood with her in his arms, carrying her back inside. "Shower with me." They were very late to work that morning. The next few weeks passed in a blissful haze. During the day, they maintained their professional roles perfectly. She styled him for various events while keeping a respectable distance, but nights belonged to them, whether at his sanctuary or exploring hidden corners of the city together. Thad introduced her to fine dining and private jets, but it was her world that truly captivated him. She took him to underground art galleries and midnight food truck festivals, showing him parts of the city he'd never known existed. One evening, after a particularly successful gallery opening where one of his paintings had sold anonymously, they sat in a tiny ramen shop, still dressed in formal wear. "Move in with me," he said suddenly. Sage nearly choked on her noodles. "What?" "Not to the penthouse," he clarified. "Here, to the sanctuary. Make it ours." "Thad," she set down her chopsticks. "That's a huge step." "I know." He took her hand across the table. "But every morning I wake up without you feels wrong. When I'm here alone, I find myself painting you into every piece. You've become part of my sanctuary, Sage. Make it official." She thought about her tiny apartment, about the careful boundaries they'd maintained. Then she thought about mornings watching the sunrise together, about him teaching her to throw pottery while stealing kisses, about the way his sanctuary had begun to feel more like home than anywhere else. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes." His smile lit up the tiny restaurant. Later that night, as they christened every surface of what would now be their shared home, Sage knew she'd made the right decision. But as she drifted off in his arms, a small voice whispered that nothing this perfect could last forever. She pushed the thought away, focusing instead on the steady beat of his heart beneath her cheek. Let tomorrow bring what it would. Tonight, in their sanctuary above the city, they were simply Thad and Sage, two artists who had collided by chance and created something beautiful. What they didn't know was that their bubble of happiness was about to be tested. Valentina Everhart had just returned from Europe, and she was very interested in her son's new living arrangements. The storm was gathering, but for now they slept peacefully in each other's arms, their love painted in starlight and shadows across the canvas of their shared dreams. Chapter 3. Passion's Symphony. Living together transformed their relationship in ways neither had expected. The sanctuary became their private paradise, where the lines between art and love blurred into something extraordinary. Each morning, Sage woke to find Thad already at his easel, capturing the dawn light on canvas, often with her sleeping form as his muse. One particularly memorable morning, she slipped from their bed, wearing only his discarded dress shirt from the night before. The sight that greeted her made her heart skip. Thad stood shirtless before a massive canvas, muscles flexing as he worked, completely lost in his art. "You're staring," he said without turning, a smile in his voice. "Can you blame me?" Sage approached, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Her hands traced the lean muscles of his abdomen, feeling them tense under her touch. "The view is spectacular." Thad turned in her embrace, his hands leaving colourful prints on her borrowed shirt. "The view from here is better." His eyes darkened as they travelled down her body. "Though I think you're wearing too much." "Am I?" She stepped back, slowly unbuttoning his shirt. "Maybe you should do something about that." Paint-stained hands reached for her, but she danced away with a laugh. Catch me first." Their chase through the loft ended predictably and passionately against his newest canvas, adding a very different kind of art to his collection. Later, as they showered together, Sage couldn't stop giggling at the rainbow of paint covering both their bodies. "I don't think this is what the board had in mind when they approved the art therapy program," she teased, helping him wash paint from his hair. The board doesn't need to know everything about my artistic process. His hands slid down her wet skin. Though I might need more practice. They were very, very late to work that day. Their professional lives had become an exquisite dance of restraint. During styling sessions, Sage maintained perfect composure while her fingers burned to touch more than his collar. Thad found increasingly creative reasons to need her fashion expertise, leading to stolen moments in his office between meetings. But it was their nights that truly showcased their growing connection. Thad introduced her to his private world of luxury, but it was Sage's underground art scene that captured their hearts. One evening, she took him to a secret gallery opening in a converted subway station. The space hummed with creative energy as artists and collectors mingled amid installations that challenged conventional boundaries. "This is incredible," Thad whispered, watching a performance piece involving light projection and dance. His arm stayed wrapped around her waist, thumb tracing patterns on her hip. "How did you find this place?" "I used to show my streetwear designs here," she explained, leading him deeper into the gallery. "Before corporate styling, this was my world, raw, real, no pretenses." They stopped before an interactive sculpture that responded to touch with waves of color. Sage placed her hand on it, and blues and purples swirled beneath her fingers. Thad added his hand beside hers, producing deep reds and golds that mixed with her colors in mesmerizing patterns. "Like us," he murmured in her ear. "Different worlds creating something beautiful together." She turned in his arms, overcome by the love shining in his eyes. "Dance with me." The underground space had transformed into an impromptu dance floor, experimental jazz filling the air. Thad pulled her close, their bodies moving together with practiced intimacy. His hands splayed across her lower back as she wrapped her arms around his neck, swaying to the music's sultry rhythm. "You've changed my world," he confessed, lips brushing her temple. "Before you, everything was grey-scale. Now it's explosive color." Sage lifted her face for a kiss that quickly deepened, uncaring of their public setting. When they finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, she whispered, "Take me home." The ride back to their sanctuary was charged with electric anticipation. Thad's hand on her thigh drew maddening patterns as he drove, while Sage tormented him by describing exactly what she planned to do to him when they arrived. They barely made it through the door before passion overwhelmed them. Clothes marked a trail to their bed, hands and lips exploring familiar territory with renewed hunger. Their lovemaking was intense, almost desperate, as if they could somehow merge their souls through physical connection. After, tangled in sheets and each other, Sage traced the line of his jaw. "I never expected this." "What?" His fingers played with her locks, spread like silk across his chest. "To fall so completely." She propped herself up to look at him, "To find someone who sees all of me, not just the parts I choose to show." Thad pulled her down for a tender kiss. "You're extraordinary, Sage Winters. Every day I discover something new to love about you." The word love hung between them, not for the first time, but carrying new weight in the intimate darkness. "I love you," she whispered against his lips. "All of you, the CEO, the artist, the man who brings me coffee in bed and paints my dreams." His heart thundered beneath her palm. "I love you, Sage, more than I thought possible." He rolled them over, caging her beneath him. "Let me show you how much." Dawn found them on their balcony, wrapped in a blanket against the morning chill. The city below was waking up, but in their sanctuary, time stood still. "Move in with me," Thad said suddenly. Sage laughed. "I already live here, remember?" "No." He turned her to face him. "Move in with me properly. Let me buy us a place that's truly ours, somewhere we can build our life together." She studied his face, finding only sincerity in his grey eyes. "You're serious." "Completely." His hands framed her face. "I want everything with you, Sage. A home, a future, a life without hiding." "What about the board? Your mother?" "I don't care." He kissed her firmly. "Let them talk. You're more important than their opinions." Sage thought about their sanctuary, about the freedom it represented. But she also thought about sneaking around, about maintaining professional distance when all she wanted was to claim him as hers. "Yes," she said softly, then with growing certainty, "yes, let's build our life together." His smile was brilliant as he lifted her into a spinning hug. They celebrated their decision thoroughly, christening every surface of their soon-to-be former sanctuary. Later that week, Thad took her house hunting. They explored penthouses and brownstones, but nothing felt right until they found it. A historic mansion on the city's outskirts, complete with a massive artist studio and enough space for both their dreams to grow. "This is it," Sage breathed, standing in what would become their master bedroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of both the city and surrounding gardens. "It's perfect." Thad wrapped his arms around her from behind. "I already made an offer. It's ours if you want it." She turned in his embrace. "You knew I'd love it." "I know you," he said simply, before capturing her lips in a passionate kiss. They christened their future bedroom right there on the hardwood floors, unable to wait for furniture. Their laughter and love echoed through the empty rooms, filling the space with promises of the life they would build together. But fate had other plans. That evening, as they celebrated over dinner at their favorite hole-in-the-wall restaurant, Thad's phone buzzed with news that would change everything. His mother had returned from Europe early. Valentina Everhart's jet had just landed, and she was very interested in meeting her son's new stylist, who, according to her sources, was much more than just an employee. The storm clouds were gathering, threatening their perfect paradise. But wrapped in each other's arms that night, they believed their love could weather any tempest. They had no idea how fierce the storm would be. As Sage drifted off to sleep, Thad held her close, silently vowing to protect their love at any cost. He knew his mother's reputation for destroying anything she deemed inappropriate for the Everhart name. But Sage wasn't just another relationship. She was his everything. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but tonight they had each other, their love painted in starlight and whispered promises across the canvas of their shared dreams. What they didn't know was that Valentina had already set her plans in motion. By morning, their world would begin to unravel in ways neither could have predicted, but for now they slept peacefully, their hearts beating in perfect symphony, their love a masterpiece still in progress. The real test of their passion was about to begin. Chapter 4. Love in the Spotlight. Valentina Everhart's return sent ripples through Everhart Technologies before she even set foot in the building. Her reputation preceded her. The woman who had helped build the company from the ground up alongside her late husband, known for her ruthless business acumen and uncompromising standards. The morning after her arrival, Thad stood in their new home's master bedroom, adjusting his tie, while Sage watched from their bed, still wrapped in silk sheets. "You don't have to come to the office today," he said, meeting her eyes in the mirror. "We can delay the inevitable confrontation." Sage rose gracefully, coming to stand behind him. Her hands replaced his on his tie, finishing the knot with professional precision. "I'm not hiding, Thad. I'm your head of executive styling and your partner. Both of those facts are non-negotiable." He turned, pulling her close. "Have I told you lately how much I love you?" "Show me," she whispered against his lips. Their kiss quickly became heated, hands wandering with practiced intimacy. Thad's perfectly knotted tie was halfway undone when his phone buzzed, his mother requesting an immediate breakfast meeting. "Duty calls," he sighed, reluctantly releasing Sage. ready to face the dragon. Born ready. She straightened his tie again, then stepped back to admire her work. Though I think I'll let you handle breakfast solo. Some battles are better fought one at a time. The drive to his mother's preferred restaurant felt like heading into combat. Valentina had chosen the Crystal Room, an exclusive establishment where the wealthy came to see and be seen. Every table offered the perfect vantage point for witnessing family drama. She was already seated when he arrived, looking elegant and lethal in Chanel. "Darling," she air-kissed his cheek, her perfume expensive and suffocating. "You look different, more relaxed than I expected." "Love does that," Thad replied, taking his seat. "But you already know about Sage, don't you?" The stylist, Valentina's perfectly painted lips curved in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, I've heard some interesting rumors. Tell me, dear, what exactly are your intentions with this arrangement?" "She's not an arrangement, Mother. I love her." "Love?" She laughed softly. "Darling, men like you don't marry their stylists. They might dally with them, even keep them as mistresses if they're discreet, but marriage? Children? That's not how our world works." Thad's hands clenched under the table. "Then perhaps it's time our world changed." "Don't be naive," Valentina signaled for more coffee. "I've taken the liberty of looking into her background. Scholarship student, single mother household, design, street fashion on the side, hardly Everhart material." "That's exactly why I love her." Thad leaned forward. "She's real, Mother. Talented, passionate, entirely self-made, everything our family claims to value. What we value is appropriate matches that benefit the family. The Prescott heiress has been asking about you. Now that would be a suitable relationship." "I'm not interested in suitable. I'm interested in Sage." Valentina's eyes hardened. "Then you leave me no choice but to protect this family's interests myself." Before Thad could respond, commotion erupted near the restaurant's entrance. Paparazzi had somehow learned of their breakfast meeting, and now cameras flashed through the windows. "Interesting timing," Thad noted coldly. "You're doing. Consider it a preview." Valentina stood gracefully. "If you insist on this inappropriate liaison, be prepared for much worse. Everything has a price, darling. Even love." She left him sitting there, expertly navigating the paparazzi gauntlet outside. Thad knew this was only the beginning. Back at the office, Sage was already facing the fallout. Gossip websites had picked up photos from his breakfast with Valentina, spinning wild theories about family drama and secret relationships. Her phone buzzed constantly with notifications. When Thad found her in his office, she was scrolling through the latest headlines. "Cinderella CEO is trending," she said without looking up. "Apparently, I'm either a gold digger or your mistress, depending on which site you read." He pulled her into his arms. "Let them talk." "Your mother orchestrated this, didn't she?" "It's her opening move." He kissed her forehead. "There will be more." As if on cue, his executive assistant buzzed through. "Mr. Everhart, the board is requesting an emergency meeting. Something about public image concerns." Sage stepped back, straightening his tie one last time. "Go. Show them exactly who you are, the man I love, not the puppet they want you to be." The board meeting was exactly what he expected. Older men in expensive suits expressing concerns about the company's reputation. Every argument thinly veiled their real issue: the CEO dating someone they considered beneath him. "Gentlemen," Thad finally interrupted their circular discussion, "let me be clear. My personal life is not up for debate. Sage Winters is an exceptional woman who has earned her position through talent and hard work. Any attempts to undermine her will be met with my immediate resignation." The threat of losing their innovative young CEO silenced the room, but Thad knew this was far from over. That evening he took Sage to the charity gala they'd been planning to attend anyway. Let the world see them together. He was done hiding their love. She was breathtaking in a gown of her own design, black silk that flowed like water with geometric gold accents that matched her lock tips. As they walked the red carpet, cameras exploded with activity. "Ready?" he whispered, offering his arm. "With you?" "Always." They entered the gala like royalty, ignoring the whispers and stares. When the music started, Thad led her to the dance floor, pulling her close. "Everyone's watching," she murmured against his chest. "Let them see what real love looks like." They moved together perfectly, lost in their own world, until a familiar voice interrupted. "Mind if I cut in?" Valentina stood there, resplendent in red, her smile razor-sharp. Before either could object, she had smoothly inserted herself between them. "Quite a statement you're making," she said as they danced, her nails digging into Thad's shoulder. "But statements have consequences. Is that a threat? A reminder?" Her eyes flickered to where Sage stood at the bar, now surrounded by society wives. Everything precious is also fragile. Thad's response was to leave her standing alone on the dance floor. He strode to Sage, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her deeply in front of everyone. The room went silent. Cameras flashed. Tomorrow's headlines wrote themselves. But in that moment, neither cared. Their kiss was a declaration of war, against society's expectations, against his mother's manipulations, against anyone who dared question their love. When they finally broke apart, Sage's eyes sparkled with tears and defiance. That wasn't very subtle. Subtle is overrated. He kissed her again, softer this time. "I love you, Sage Winters. Let the whole world know it." They left the gala early, unable to keep their hands off each other. Their love-making that night was passionate, almost desperate, a physical affirmation of their commitment to each other. Later, as they lay tangled in sheets, Sage traced patterns on his chest. "Your mother won't stop." "No, she won't." He captured her hand, kissing her palm. "But neither will I. You're worth fighting for." "We're worth fighting for," she corrected, sealing the promise with a kiss. What they didn't know was that Valentina was already implementing her next phase. By morning, their phones would explode with a new scandal. Carefully doctored photos suggesting Thad had been less than faithful. But that was tomorrow's battle. Tonight, they held each other close, their love a fortress against the gathering storm. In their new home, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and dreams still taking shape, they faced the future together. Let society gossip, let his mother scheme. Their love was stronger than any obstacle, or so they believed, not knowing that the true test of their love was still to come. Valentina had only begun to play her games, and she never played to lose. As the city slept below them, Thad and Sage drifted off in each other's arms, their hearts beating in defiant unison against a world determined to tear them apart. The spotlight had found them, but they would face its harsh glare together. Chapter 5. Sweet Surrender. In the wake of their public declaration at the gala, Thad and Sage retreated to their own private paradise. Their new home had become a sanctuary from the storm of publicity and Valentina's machinations, each room slowly filled with their combined dreams, his art collection mingling with her fashion designs, creating a space uniquely theirs. One particularly memorable evening, Thad arrived home to find Sage had transformed their rooftop terrace. Hundreds of candles flickered in the twilight, creating a magical atmosphere against the cityscape backdrop. Rose petals traced a path to where she stood, wearing a gold silk dress that caught the candlelight like liquid flame. "What's all this?" he asked, drawn to her like a moth to fire. "A celebration," she replied, pulling him into a slow dance. No music played except the city's distant symphony and their beating hearts. Of us, of love, of choosing each other every day despite everything. Thad's hands traced the bare skin of her back, exposed by the dress's daring design. "You're extraordinary, you know that? So you keep telling me?" Her amber eyes sparkled with mischief and love, though I never tire of hearing it. Their kiss was tender at first, then grew heated as passion overtook them. The silk of her dress whispered against his suit as they moved together, lost in their private world, high above the city. "I have something for you," Sage murmured against his lips, reluctantly pulling away. She led him to a covered easel set up near the terrace's edge. "I've been working on this in secret." When she unveiled the canvas, Thad's breath caught. She'd painted their first meeting in the elevator, but with an artistic style that blended his abstract tendencies with fashion illustration techniques. Their figures were caught in that moment of collision, surrounded by swirling designer clothes and electric energy. "Sage ... He traced the painting's lines with trembling fingers. "This is incredible." "You taught me to paint," she reminded him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. "I thought it was time to show you what love looks like through my eyes." He turned in her embrace, cupping her face with both hands. "Marry me!" The words escaped before he could plan them, but they felt absolutely right. Sage's eyes widened in surprise, then filled with tears. "Thad, wait." He fumbled in his pocket, producing a small velvet box. "I've been carrying this for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment, but every moment with you is perfect." Dropping to one knee among the rose petals, he opened the box to reveal a stunning black diamond ring set in rose gold. The design was unique, modern yet timeless, just like their love. "Sage Winters, you crashed into my life and scattered everything I thought I knew about love. You challenge me, inspire me, and make me better every day. Will you marry me?" Sage's hands trembled as she reached for him. "Are you sure? Your mother, the board, the press. None of them matter." He took her hand, pressing kisses to each finger. "Only you, only us. Marry me, my love. Let me spend the rest of my life showing you how much I adore you." Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." The ring slid perfectly onto her finger as he rose to kiss her. Their embrace was passionate, desperate, filled with promises and dreams. Without breaking the kiss, Thad lifted her into his arms, carrying her through the candlelit path to their bedroom. They made love slowly, reverently, each touch a vow of devotion. The city lights painted patterns across their skin as they explored each other with renewed wonder, celebrating their commitment in the most intimate way possible. Later, as they lay tangled in silk sheets, Sage admired how the black diamond caught the moonlight. "It's perfect," she murmured. "Just like you." "I'm far from perfect." Thad kissed her shoulder, pulling her closer. "But with you, I want to be better. When should we announce it?" "Tomorrow." His voice held firm conviction. "At the technology summit. Let everyone see that I'm proud to make you my wife." Sage rolled to face him, tracing his features with gentle fingers. "Your mother will be there." "Good." He captured her hand, kissing her palm. "Let her be the first to know that nothing she does can separate us." Their kisses turned passionate again, sleep forgotten, as they celebrated their engagement throughout the night. Each touch was a promise, each kiss a declaration of devotion that transcended society's expectations. Dawn found them on the terrace, wrapped in sheets, watching the sunrise paint the sky in colors that matched their joy. Sage sat between Thad's legs, her back against his chest, their fingers intertwined. "Tell me what you're thinking," he murmured against her hair. "I'm thinking about forever," she replied softly. "About building a life with you, facing whatever comes together. We'll need a bigger studio," he mused, making her laugh. One where we can both create. Maybe a nursery nearby. Sage twisted to look at him, eyes wide. Children? Eventually. He kissed her nose. Little artists with your smile and my grey eyes, or tiny fashion designers with your talent and my stubborn streak. The image brought fresh tears to her eyes. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. Don't be scared. His arms tightened around her. I'll never let anything come between us. They made love again as the sun rose, their passion illuminated by the dawn's golden light. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a vow of eternal devotion. But fate had other plans. As they dressed for the technology summit, neither knew that Valentina had already set her most devastating plan in motion. The morning's papers would carry carefully crafted lies, and their perfect world would begin to crack. Yet in this moment, surrounded by spent candles and rose petals, their love felt invincible. Sage's ring caught the morning light as she helped Thad with his tie, their domestic intimacy a preview of their future together. "Ready to face the world, future Mrs. Everhart?" he asked, pulling her close for one last kiss. "With you, I'm ready for anything." They left their sanctuary hand in hand, hearts full of love and hope. The technology summit awaited, and with it their chance to declare their commitment to the world. What they didn't know was that Valentina had already arrived at the venue, armed with fabricated evidence designed to shatter their happiness. Her carefully orchestrated plan would test their love in ways they never imagined. But for now, they were simply two souls deeply in love, ready to face the world together. Their engagement night had been perfect, a sweet surrender to the power of their connection. The storm clouds gathered on the horizon, but in their bubble of joy they saw only sunshine ahead. Chapter 6. Betrayal's Kiss. The technology summit should have been their moment of triumph. Instead, it became the beginning of their nightmare. Valentina Everhart arrived early, her Hermes handbag containing carefully crafted documents that would begin to unravel their happiness. The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel buzzed with anticipation. Tech industry leaders and media personalities mingled beneath crystal chandeliers, all secretly waiting for the drama they expected to unfold. Thad and Sage's relationship had become the talk of high society, and their engagement announcement was the worst-kept secret in the business world. Sage stood before the mirror in their private suite. Making final adjustments to Thad's tie, she designed his entire outfit, a modern charcoal suit with subtle technological patterns woven into the fabric, perfectly bridging the gap between innovation and tradition. "You look perfect," she murmured, smoothing his lapels. The black diamond on her left hand caught the light, sending rainbow reflections across his chest. "So do you." Thad's hands settled on her waist, admiring how her gold dress hugged her curves. "Ready to shock the world? With you. Always." She reached up for a kiss that quickly deepened, threatening to undo all her careful styling work. A knock at the door interrupted them. "Mr. Everhart, you're needed for the pre-summit briefing." "Go!" Sage smiled, straightening his tie one last time. "I'll see you on stage." What neither knew was that Valentina was already setting her plans in motion. As Thad headed to his briefing, she cornered Sage in the suite's private bathroom. "Quite a statement you're making," Valentina said, appearing suddenly in the mirror's reflection. "The ring is interesting, not quite Everhart standard, but I suppose Thad's trying to match your aesthetic." Sage met her eyes in the mirror, refusing to be intimidated. "The ring is perfect, just like your son's love." "Love?" Valentina laughed softly. "Oh, darling, men like Thad don't fall in love with women like you. They have adventures, little rebellions against their upbringing. But eventually, they remember who they are. You don't know your son at all." I know him better than you ever will. Valentina's perfectly manicured hand reached out to touch Sage's dress. Did you design this yourself? It's quite ambitious for someone of your background. If you're trying to make me doubt myself, you're wasting your time. Am I? Valentina's smile turned predatory. Tell me, have you asked Thad about his recent meetings with Ariana Prescott? Sage's heart skipped, but she kept her face neutral. I trust Thad completely. How sweet. And naive. Valentina pulled an envelope from her bag. Perhaps these will help you understand the reality of your situation. Inside were photos. Thad at intimate dinners with a stunning blonde, entering hotel lobbies, sharing what looked like private moments. The dates stamped on them were recent, during times he'd claimed to be working late. These are fake, Sage said, but her voice wavered. Are they? Check the metadata. Call the restaurants. Everything is verifiable. Valentina's voice dripped false sympathy. I'm only trying to spare you public humiliation, dear. End this now quietly, and I'll ensure you're compensated generously. Get out. Sage's hands shook as she gripped the sink. Think about it. You have until he takes the stage. With a final pitying look, Valentina glided out, leaving the photos behind. Sage stared at her reflection, trying to steady her breathing. The photos had to be fake, but why did some of the outfits match ones she'd styled him in recently? Why were the locations places she knew he frequented? Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number containing a video. Against her better judgment, she played it. It showed Thad in what appeared to be a private club, laughing with Ariana Prescott. It's just business, his voice came through clearly. Sometimes you have to maintain appearances to get what you want. The video cut off, leaving Sage feeling like she'd been punched in the gut. She knew about Ariana, the beautiful tech heiress who'd grown up in Thad's world. The woman Valentina had always wanted him to marry. Another message arrived. Security footage showing Thad entering a hotel with Ariana, time-stamped during a night he'd claimed to be in board meetings. Sage's world began to spin. She'd grown up learning to trust her instincts, and right now they were screaming that something was very wrong. In the ballroom, Thad was searching for her. The announcement was minutes away, but she was nowhere to be found. His phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Check the security feeds. The hotel's monitoring room showed Sage leaving the building, tears streaming down her face. Another buzz. She knows everything. Thad's blood ran cold. He tried calling Sage, but her phone went straight to voicemail. As he raced through the hotel's corridors, he caught glimpses of his mother's satisfied smile. What did you do? He demanded, cornering Valentina in a private alcove. Nothing that wasn't necessary. She adjusted his tie with maternal precision. I simply showed her the truth about men like you, how you can't help but return to your own kind. What truth? What did you show her? Does it matter? She believed it. Valentina's eyes glittered with triumph. As she should. Deep down, she always knew she wasn't good enough for you. Thad's world tilted on its axis as understanding dawned. The meetings with Ariana, they were your doing. Of course, Ariana was happy to help, dear. She's always carried a torch for you. Valentina patted his cheek. Now, compose yourself. You have a speech to give. I'm going after Sage. Are you? His mother's voice turned sharp. Then you should know I've already leaked the story to every major news outlet. By morning, everyone will know how you used that poor girl while carrying on with Ariana. Your little stylist's reputation will be ruined, professionally and personally. You wouldn't. Try me. She showed him the prepared press release on her phone. Stay, give your speech, and I'll kill the story. Leave, and I'll destroy her. Thad felt the walls closing in. His mother had orchestrated everything perfectly, the photos, the video, the security footage, all carefully edited and arranged to create a devastating illusion. "Why?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Why do this?" "Because I love you, darling. Sometimes love means making hard choices to protect those we care about." She straightened his lapels. "Now smile. Your public awaits." As Thad walked onto the stage, his heart shattering with every step, Sage was across town in their sanctuary. She moved through the rooms like a ghost, touching the art they'd created together, remembering every kiss, every promise. How had she been so naive? She'd let herself believe in a fairy tale, the CEO and the stylist, love conquering all, but reality had finally caught up. She packed quickly, taking only what she'd brought into the relationship. Her engagement ring sat heavy on her finger, a reminder of dreams that now felt like cruel jokes. With trembling hands, she wrote a note. "I won't be another one of your games. Goodbye, Thad." The ring clattered onto his desk, its black diamond no longer catching the light but absorbing it, like her heart absorbed the pain of betrayal. Across town, Thad delivered his speech on autopilot, his words about technological innovation ringing hollow. Every fibre of his being screamed to run after Sage, to explain, to fight for their love. But his mother's threat hung over him like a sword. What he didn't know was that Sage had already made a discovery that would change everything, one his mother hadn't planned for. But in her hurt and confusion, she couldn't process its significance. As night fell over the city, two hearts broke in different ways. Sage disappeared into the gathering darkness, carrying a secret that would eventually bring them back together, and Thad stood in their empty home, holding her ring and note, while his mother's victory smile played on every news channel. The perfect love story had been shattered by betrayal's kiss, but like all great love stories, this was not the end, merely the darkest hour before dawn. Neither knew that fate had one more card to play, a truth that would eventually expose all lies and bring them back together in the most unexpected way. But for now, they suffered separately, each believing the other had betrayed their perfect love. Chapter 7. Shattered Dreams. 3 weeks after leaving Thad, Sage sat in a small medical clinic, staring at the 2 pink lines that would change everything. The pregnancy test's positive result blurred through her tears, a cruel reminder of the love she thought had been real. "Congratulations," the doctor smiled warmly. "Based on your hormone levels, I'd say you're about 8 weeks along. Would you like to hear the heartbeat?" Sage nodded numbly. The sound filled the small examination room. Strong, fast, undeniable. Her hand instinctively went to her still flat stomach, where their child grew, unaware of the chaos surrounding its existence. "Would you like me to contact the father?" the doctor asked gently. "No," Sage whispered, memories of the devastating photos and videos flooding back. He's not in the picture." She left the clinic in a daze, walking aimlessly through streets that held too many memories. Every corner seemed to hold echoes of their happiness, the cafe where they'd shared morning coffee, the gallery where he'd first shown her his art, the boutiques where she'd styled him for various events. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from fashion industry contacts. The scandal had exploded, as Valentina promised, but not quite as she'd planned. Instead of painting Sage as a gold digger, public sympathy had turned in her favor. Team Sage trended on social media, with many criticizing Thad's apparent betrayal, but none of it mattered now. The only reality was the tiny life growing inside her, a piece of their love that couldn't be tainted by lies or manipulation. Across town, Thad sat in his office, surrounded by evidence of his mother's deception. His private investigators had begun unraveling her scheme, discovering the careful edits in photos, the spliced audio in videos, the bribed security guards who'd provided false footage. "Mr. Everhart," his assistant interrupted via intercom, "your mother is here." Valentina swept in before he could refuse, immaculate as always in designer wear that couldn't quite hide the predatory gleam in her eyes. "Darling, you look terrible." She perched on his desk edge. "Still pining for that girl? I thought we'd moved past this." "Why?" Thad's voice was raw with pain and rage. "Why go to such lengths to destroy something beautiful?" "Beautiful?" Valentina laughed. "It was beneath you. She was beneath you. I simply helped you remember your proper place. By fabricating evidence of an affair, by threatening to destroy her if I didn't play along. Sometimes a mother's love requires difficult choices." She examined her manicure. "Besides, Ariana is much more suitable. The press loves your reconciliation." Thad slammed his fist on the desk, making her jump. "There is no reconciliation. I don't love Ariana. I love Sage." "Love doesn't pay shareholders or secure mergers," Valentina snapped, dropping her casual act. "The Prescott Alliance could double our market share. Your little designer was a liability. She was everything to me. She was a distraction, one you're better off without." Valentina's voice softened to silk-covered steel. "Now, about the Prescott contract. Get out." "Excuse me. Get out of my office. Get out of my life." Thad stood, towering over her. "You're fired from the board, effective immediately." Valentina's face whitened. "You can't do that." "Watch me." He pressed the intercom. "Security, please escort Ms. Everhart from the building. Her access is permanently revoked." As security arrived, Valentina's mask finally cracked. "You'll regret this. Everything I did was for you." "No," Thad replied coldly. "Everything you did was for control, but you've lost it all now." Watching his mother being escorted out should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt hollow. What good was victory if he couldn't share it with Sage? Across the city, Sage had retreated to her old neighborhood, finding refuge in a small apartment above a vintage clothing store. The owner, May, had been her first mentor in fashion, and now provided shelter from the media storm. "You need to eat, child," May said, bringing up a tray of soup. "That baby needs nourishment." Sage managed a few spoonfuls, her mind racing with decisions to be made. She'd already resigned from Everhart Technologies, unable to face the pitying looks and whispered gossip. Her savings wouldn't last long, but her independent design work was starting to gain attention. "Have you thought about telling him?" May asked, settling into a worn armchair. "Every minute of every day." Sage's hand rested on her stomach. "But then I remember those photos, that video." "Things aren't always what they seem." The timestamps, the locations, everything matched May. He was with her while promising forever to me. A knock at the shop's door interrupted them. May went to check, returning with a thick envelope. "Special delivery for you." Inside, Sage found documents that made her blood run cold. Bank statements showing millions transferred to offshore accounts in her name, emails discussing their relationship as a corporate espionage scheme, even a contract with a rival tech company. All of it forged, but so perfectly that it would destroy her if made public. A note accompanied the documents. "Leave the country. Never contact Thad again, or these become front-page news." V. Sage's hands shook as she read each damning page. Valentina had thought of everything, creating a paper trail that painted her as a corporate spy who'd seduced Thad for company secrets. "I have to go," she whispered, tears falling onto the fabricated evidence. "Sage, wait." May took the documents, examining them with shrewd eyes. "Something's not right here. These are too perfect, too comprehensive." "What do you mean?" "In my youth, I worked in document authentication." May pointed to subtle inconsistencies. "These are good forgeries, but they're forgeries nonetheless. Someone went to a lot of trouble to create this story." Hope flickered briefly in Sage's chest before dying. "It doesn't matter. She'll release them anyway, and no one will look closely enough to spot the fakes. Then fight back, tell Thad about the baby, let him help expose the truth. But Sage was already packing a bag. I can't risk it, not with our child's future at stake. She left that night, catching a train to her hometown. Her sister ran a small design boutique there, far from the media spotlight, far from Valentina's reach, far from the pieces of her broken heart scattered across the city. What she didn't know was that Thad had finally found the thread that would unravel his mother's whole scheme. A junior IT employee, troubled by conscience, came forward with evidence of Valentina accessing and manipulating security footage. As Sage's train carried her away from everything she loved, Thad was building a case that would expose every lie. But by the time he unveiled the truth, she would be gone without a trace. In their separate corners of the world, both cradled shattered dreams. Sage held their growing child, a secret joy amidst the pain. Thad clutched evidence of his mother's betrayal, a cold comfort in his loneliness. Neither knew that fate was already drawing them back together. The truth, like love, couldn't stay buried forever. That night, as a storm raged across the city, two hearts beat in painful synchronicity. In her tiny train compartment, Sage whispered stories to their unborn child about its father's beautiful soul and artistic spirit. In his empty home, Thad painted his pain onto canvas after canvas, each one filled with echoes of her. The dream had shattered, but from its fragments, a new hope would eventually emerge. They just had to survive the darkness first. What neither realized was that their greatest challenge and greatest joy was still to come. The life growing inside Sage would eventually bring them back together in ways they could never imagine, but for now they endured their separate sorrows, each believing the other lost to betrayal's cruel design. Chapter 8. The Truth Unravels. The revelation began with a simple email from an unexpected source. Late one night, as Thad sat in his office, surrounded by the wreckage of his personal life, his computer pinged with a message from Jenny Chen, a junior IT specialist at Everhart Technologies. Mr. Everhart, the email read, "What I'm about to share could cost me my job, but I can't live with the guilt anymore. Your mother asked me to alter security footage 2 months ago. I have proof of everything." Thad's hands shook as he dialed Jenny's extension. Despite the late hour, she answered immediately. "Tell me everything," he demanded. Jenny's voice trembled but held firm. "Mrs. Everhart approached me 6 months ago, right after you and Ms. Winters went public with your relationship. She said it was a matter of company security, that she needed access to monitor potential information leaks. But that wasn't true." "No, sir. She used the access to gather footage of you and Ms. Prescott at business meetings. Then she had me edit it to remove other people, change timestamps, alter contexts." Jenny paused. "I didn't realize what it was for until I saw Ms. Winters leaving that day." The look on her face. Thad's grip tightened on the phone. "Can you prove it?" "I kept everything, original footage, edit logs, email requests. Your mother was careful, but she didn't know I was documenting it all." "Why come forward now?" "Because yesterday she asked me to create more forgeries, bank statements, emails, contracts. She wanted to frame Ms. Winters as a corporate spy." Jenny's voice hardened. "I refused. Then I found out she hired someone else to do it. Sir, I think she's planning to destroy Ms. Winters completely." The next hours passed in a blur of revelations. Jenny brought him drives full of evidence. Original security footage showing his meetings with Ariana always included other board members. Email trails revealing his mother's careful manipulation. Even recorded conversations where Valentina planned her deception. But it was a recently deleted email that made his blood run cold. His mother had sent Sage a threatening message along with forged documents demanding she leave the country or face public ruin. Find her, he ordered his security team. Check every airport, train station, bus terminal. I need to reach her before she sees those documents. What he didn't know was that he was already too late. Dawn found him in their old sanctuary, now a museum of memories. Every canvas held echoes of their love, her smile captured in golden hues, her form dancing through abstract patterns. He'd been blind not to see the signs of his mother's interference sooner. His phone buzzed constantly with updates. No Sage at any airport. No credit card activity. No social media presence. She'd vanished as completely as she'd entered his life. A knock interrupted his brooding. Claire, his assistant, entered with a thick file. "Sir, we found something. The vintage clothing store where Ms. Winters was staying. The owner finally talked to our investigators." Thad snatched the file. May, the store owner, had given a detailed statement about Sage's last night there, including the threatening documents from Valentina. "She was protecting our child," he whispered, the words like knives in his throat. "Sir." "The medical records." He pointed to a detail in May's statement. Sage visited a clinic the day before she disappeared. She was pregnant. The word echoed through the studio like a thunderclap. Pregnant. His child. Their child. Growing inside the woman he loved while his mother's machinations tore them apart. Rage and desperation warred in his chest as he dialed his lawyer. "I want every legal option on my desk in an hour," he demanded. "How to remove my mother from the company, how to protect Sage from her threats, everything." Next came the PR team. If his mother wanted to play with public perception, he'd show her how it was really done. Within hours, the story broke across all major networks. Everhart Technologies, CEO exposes corporate conspiracy. The evidence was damning. Every manipulated photo explained, every edited video revealed in its original form, every forged document traced back to Valentina's hired accomplices. Justice for Sage trended worldwide as the public learned how thoroughly they'd been deceived. But Thad didn't care about public opinion. He cared about one person, now carrying their child somewhere far from his reach. He found himself in their bedroom, surrounded by her lingering scent. A forgotten sketchbook lay on her bedside table. Inside, he found drawings of baby clothes, tiny shoes, even a nursery design. She'd known about the pregnancy before leaving, had started planning their future even as it crumbled around her. The discovery broke something in him. He sank to his knees, clutching the sketchbook to his chest. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the empty room. "I'm so sorry, my love." His security team worked around the clock, following every possible lead. They discovered she'd taken a train, but the trail went cold at her hometown. Her sister's boutique was closed, the apartment above it empty. Valentina, meanwhile, had gone. To ground the moment the story broke. Her accounts were frozen, her properties under surveillance, but she'd vanished as completely as Sage. 2 weeks into the search, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Ariana Prescott herself walked into his office carrying a USB drive. "I owe you both an apology," she said without preamble. "Your mother, she had leverage over my family. I helped her stage those meetings, let her edit the footage, but I never knew how far she'd take it." The drive contained more evidence, emails, recordings, a complete timeline of Valentina's plan to separate him from Sage. "Why come forward now?" Ariana's face softened. "Because she's pregnant, isn't she? Your mother let it slip when she was gloating about her success. I can't be part of keeping a child from its father." Hope flared in Thad's chest. "Did my mother know where Sage went?" "No, but—" Ariana hesitated. "I overheard her talking about medical records. She's been monitoring clinics, looking for prenatal appointments." It was another piece of the puzzle, another chance to find them. That night, alone in his studio, Thad painted his anguish onto a massive canvas. Blacks and greys swirled with desperate hope in gold, the colors of their love story, now tinged with pain and longing. As he worked, memories flooded back. Sage's smile when she first saw his art, her body moving with his in perfect harmony, her voice whispering dreams of their future. Now those dreams included a child, a piece of their love growing stronger every day without him. Dawn found him still painting, the canvas a testament to love and loss. But something had changed in the night. Determination replaced despair. He would find them. He would make this right. No matter how long it took, no matter what it cost, he would bring his family home. What he didn't know was that fate was already in motion. While he searched, Sage's pregnancy had developed complications. Soon, she would need the kind of medical care that would leave a trail that would lead him straight to her. But not before his mother made one final desperate move to keep them apart. The truth had unraveled her schemes, but Valentina Everhart had one last card to play. In her obsession with control, she would risk everything, including her own freedom, to maintain her grip on the Everhart legacy. As the sun rose over the city, two hearts beat in painful synchronicity. In a small-town hospital, Sage faced her first serious pregnancy complication alone. In his paint-splattered studio, Thad added the final touches to a canvas that screamed of love and loss. Neither knew how close they were to reunion or how dangerous that reunion would be. The truth had unraveled, but the most dramatic chapter of their love story was yet to begin. Chapter 9. Race Against Time. The call came at 3:47 a.m., jolting Thad from his restless sleep. An unknown number flashed on his screen, but something made him answer. "Mr. Everhart?" A female voice, familiar but unexpected. "It's Jasmine, Sage's sister. She needs you." His heart stopped. "Where is she?" "Mercy General Hospital in Cedar Grove. She's—" Jasmine's voice broke. "There are complications with the pregnancy. The doctors say she needs emergency surgery, but she's refusing until—" A pause. "She keeps calling for you in her sleep." Thad was already moving, phone pressed to his ear as he threw on clothes. "I'm on my way. Tell her to hold on. Please, just make her hold on." His private helicopter was fueled and waiting within 15 minutes. As the city lights fell away beneath him, Thad's mind raced with everything he needed to say, every truth he needed her to hear. In the hospital, Sage fought her own battle. The pain had started suddenly, sharp, urgent cramps that brought her to her knees in her sister's boutique. Now, monitors beeped steadily around her, measuring 3 heartbeats instead of 1. "Triplets," the doctor had said hours earlier, her face serious. "And they're in distress. We need to perform an emergency cesarean, Ms. Winters. The longer we wait, the greater the risk to you and the babies." But Sage hesitated. The thought of bringing their children into the world without Thad beside her felt impossible. Even after everything, even believing his betrayal, she couldn't take this moment from him. "Just a little longer," she whispered to her swollen belly. "Your daddy needs to meet you. He needs to know you're real." What she didn't know was that Jasmine had already made the call, unable to watch her sister suffer alone any longer. The hospital corridor buzzed with urgent activity. Sage's blood pressure was dropping, the monitors showing increasing fetal distress. Medical terms flew between staff members: preeclampsia, placental abruption, critical threshold. Through it all, Jasmine held her sister's hand, praying she'd made the right choice in calling Thad. Meanwhile, the helicopter fought through unexpected storm conditions. Lightning illuminated the clouds around them as Thad's pilot navigated with expert precision. 10 minutes out, the pilot announced. Hospital helipad is prepped for emergency landing. Thad's hands clenched around his phone, where the last photo of Sage still lit up his screen. He'd give anything to turn back time, to stop his mother's manipulation before it tore them apart. A text from his security team flashed. "V spotted near hospital, local police notified." Of course, his mother would make one final attempt to interfere, but nothing would stop him from reaching Sage now. Not storms, not distance, Not even Valentina's desperate schemes. The helicopter landed with a jolt. Thad sprinted through rain and wind, his heart pounding in sync with the thunder overhead. Hospital security met him at the entrance, briefed on the situation. "Maternity ward, 4th floor," they directed. "Her sister's waiting." The elevator felt impossibly slow. Each second stretched like years as Thad watched the numbers climb. When the doors finally opened, he nearly collided with a nurse rushing past. "Are you him?" she asked breathlessly. "The father?" He nodded, unable to speak. "Thank God. Room 412. Hurry." Thad ran, his footsteps echoing through the sterile corridor. He could hear monitors beeping, urgent voices, and then Sage's cry of pain. He burst through the door just as another contraction hit. She was pale, too pale, her face contorted in agony. But to him, she'd never been more beautiful. "Sage." He breathed her name like a prayer. Her eyes flew open. "Thad, you're really here?" "I'm here, my love." He was at her side in 2 strides, taking her hand. "I'm here, and I'm never leaving again." Tears streamed down her face. "The babies. I know. We're having triplets." His free hand cradled her face. "And right now, you need to let the doctors help you. All of you." Another contraction ripped through her. The monitors screamed warnings as her blood pressure plummeted. "We need to move now," the doctor ordered. "Mr. Everhart, you'll need to change into surgical scrubs if you want to stay with her." "The truth," Sage gasped between pains. "I need to know. Was it real? Any of it?" "All of it," he promised, pressing desperate kisses to her knuckles. "Every moment, every touch, every promise. My mother, she orchestrated everything. The photos, the videos, all of it was manipulated. I never betrayed you, Sage. I never stopped loving you." Recognition dawned in her eyes, followed by relief so profound it brought fresh tears. "I knew. In my heart, I knew." The medical team moved around them with practiced urgency, preparing for surgery. A nurse tried to separate them, but Thad refused to let go of her hand. "I'm not leaving her," he stated firmly. "Not ever again." They compromised by helping him into sterile gear while maintaining contact with Sage. As they wheeled her toward the operating room, he kept whispering words of love and encouragement. But fate wasn't finished testing them. In the surgical prep area, a commotion erupted. Hospital security racing down the hall, shouting about an unauthorized person. Valentina Everhart, elegant even in desperation, appeared in the doorway. "You can't do this," she pleaded. "Think about the scandal, the company's reputation." "Get her out of here," Thad ordered, his voice deadly calm. "And call the police. I want her arrested for harassment, fraud, and endangering my family." "Family?" Valentina laughed hysterically. "This girl and her bastard children will destroy everything we've built." Sage's grip on his hand tightened as another contraction hit. The monitors showed increasing distress. "Now!" Thad roared, and security finally moved, dragging his protesting mother away. Through it all, his eyes never left Sage's face. "Focus on me, my love. Just me. Everything else is noise." The operating room was organized chaos. Doctors and nurses moved with precise efficiency as they prepared for an emergency C-section. Thad stayed at Sage's head, one hand stroking her hair, while the other held hers. "I'm scared," she whispered as they administered the spinal block. "I'm right here." He pressed his forehead to hers. "We're doing this together." The surgery began. Minutes felt like hours as they waited to meet their children. Then suddenly a cry pierced the air. Strong, defiant, perfect. "Baby A is out," the doctor announced. "It's a boy." Tears streamed down both their faces as they heard their son's first sounds. Moments later, 2 more cries joined his. Their daughters, following their brother into the world. "All 3 are stable," the pediatrician confirmed. "They're small but strong. Relief flooded through Thad as he watched the medical team care for their tiny miracles. But when he turned back to Sage, his heart stopped. The monitors were screaming. Her blood pressure had crashed, her body going into shock. "She's hemorrhaging," someone shouted. "We need blood now." "Sage." Thad's voice broke as her eyes fluttered. "Stay with me, my love. Please, stay with me. Love. You." She whispered before losing consciousness. What followed was the longest hour of Thad's life. Forced to wait outside while doctors fought to save Sage, he paced the corridor like a caged animal. Nearby, their newborn slept peacefully in the NICU, unaware of their mother's battle. Finally, the surgeon emerged, exhausted but smiling. "She's stable. It was close, but she's fighting hard. She'll need time to recover, but she's going to be fine." Thad's legs gave out. He slid down the wall, sobbing with relief. Hours later, he sat beside Sage's recovery bed, their tiny miracles nestled safely in their incubators nearby. She was pale but peaceful, her vitals strong and steady. As dawn broke over the hospital, her eyes fluttered open. "The babies?" "Perfect," he assured her. "Two beautiful girls and a strong boy, just like their mother." Tears slipped down her cheeks as she reached for him. "I'm sorry I doubted you." "No, my love." He kissed her palm. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you better, but nothing will ever separate us again." Outside the room, police led Valentina away in handcuffs, charged with multiple felonies. Her final attempt to interfere had backfired spectacularly, ensuring she'd never threaten their happiness again. But inside their private sanctuary, none of that mattered. All that existed was love, between two souls who'd found their way back to each other, and the three tiny miracles they'd created together. As morning light painted the room in gold, Thad helped Sage hold their children for the first time. Together, they marveled at tiny fingers and perfect faces, counting toes and pressing gentle kisses to velvet skin. They had survived the storm. Now it was time to build their future, stronger than ever. Chapter 10. Miracle Times. 3. The first 48 hours after the triplets' birth passed in a blur of emotions and wonder. Sage's recovery room transformed into a sanctuary of new beginnings, where three incubators held their precious miracles under soft medical lighting. Thad hadn't left her side since the surgery, sleeping in an uncomfortable hospital chair and waking at her slightest movement. Each time Sage opened her eyes, she found him there, his love a constant anchor in the storm they'd weathered. "Tell me about them," she whispered during one quiet dawn, still too weak to visit the NICU herself. "Everything, every detail." Thad moved to sit on her bed, carefully mindful of her surgical incision. "They're perfect," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "Our son, he came first. Already a protector. He's got your strength, my stubbornness. The nurses say he fusses until they position his incubator so he can see his sisters." Sage's fingers intertwined with his as he continued. "The girls arrived practically holding hands. Our firstborn daughter has your artistic soul. She waves her tiny fingers like she's conducting an orchestra. And our youngest, she's got your smile already. When she sleeps, her lips curl up just like yours do." "They need names," Sage murmured, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I've been waiting for you. They're your masterpieces too." The moment was interrupted by their pediatrician, Dr. Chen, arriving for morning rounds. "Good news," she announced, reviewing charts. "All three babies are exceeding expectations. If they maintain this progress, we can try some kangaroo care today." "Really?" Sage tried to sit up, wincing at the movement. "Easy," Thad supported her gently. "What's kangaroo care?" "Skin-to-skin contact," Dr. Chen explained. "It's crucial for premature babies. We'll bring them to you one at a time. Let them feel your heartbeat, your warmth. It helps regulate their temperature, breathing, even brain development." The anticipation of holding their children made the next few hours crawl by. Nurses helped Sage freshen up and adjust her position while Thad paced anxiously. Finally, the moment arrived. 3 nurses carefully wheeled in the incubators, each containing a tiny miracle connected to monitoring equipment. "Who's first?" Dr. Chen asked. "Our son," Sage and Thad answered simultaneously. Some parental instincts were already perfectly in sync. With infinite care, the medical team transferred their firstborn from his incubator to Sage's chest. He was impossibly small, yet perfectly formed, a miniature warrior who'd fought his way into the world. The moment his skin touched hers, his vital signs stabilized completely. Tiny fingers flexed against her heart as he settled into the rhythm of her breathing. "Hello, my love," Sage whispered, tracing his delicate features. "We've been waiting for you." Thad couldn't stop the tears as he watched mother and son bond. "He needs a strong name," he said softly. "Something worthy of his fight." Sage studied their son's face, seeing both of them reflected in his tiny features. Atlas, she decided. He carried the weight of bringing his sisters safely into the world. "Atlas!" Thad tested the name, watching their son respond to his voice. "It's perfect." Their firstborn daughter came next, her small body fitting perfectly into the curve of Sage's neck. Unlike her brother's focused calm, she moved with artistic grace, each gesture a tiny dance. "Luna," Thad suggested, remembering nights spent watching Sage sketch under moonlight. "For all the dreams that led us here." Sage's smile was radiant. "Luna Grace," she added, "because Grace brought you back to me." Their youngest daughter completed the trio, and true to Thad's description, she smiled in her sleep as they cradled her. "Nova," Sage breathed, watching starlight patterns from the monitors dance across their daughter's face. "Because she shines so bright." "Nova Rose," Thad agreed, "as beautiful as her mother." Atlas, Luna Grace, and Nova Rose, 3 miracles born of a love stronger than any deception. The next few days established a rhythm. Sage grew stronger as the babies thrived under their parents' constant attention. Thad split his time between caring for his family and handling the aftermath of Valentina's arrest, though he never stayed away for long. One evening, as they held their children together, Sage finally asked the question that had haunted her. "How did you find out the truth?" Thad shifted Nova gently in his arms, making sure her monitors were undisturbed. An IT specialist came forward, Jenny Chen. She had evidence of every manipulation, every lie. "My mother. She'd planned it for months." "I should have trusted my heart," Sage whispered, watching Luna sleep against her chest while Atlas dozed in his incubator. "Deep down, I knew something wasn't right about those photos, that video." "No," Thad kissed her forehead. "You were protecting our children. I'm the one who should have seen through her schemes sooner." Their conversation was interrupted by Atlas demanding attention, his tiny cries bringing smiles to both parents' faces. "Someone's jealous," Thad chuckled, carefully transferring Nova to her incubator so he could lift their son. "Definitely got that from me." "The good parts," Sage corrected, watching him with their son. "Your passion, your determination, your strength," he countered. "All 3 of them have your incredible strength." The babies had inherited the best of both parents. Thad's artistic soul and Sage's creative spirit, his determination and her resilience. Even in the NICU, their personalities began to shine through. Atlas was the guardian, always alert when his sisters had their checkups. Luna Grace observed everything with artistic curiosity, her tiny hands reaching for light and shadow. Nova Rose charmed every nurse with her sleeping smiles and peaceful nature. As the days passed, their room filled with evidence of both parents' artistic talents. Thad sketched their children constantly, capturing every precious expression. Sage designed their first outfits, tiny clothes that would mark milestones to come. One night, as moonlight painted silver stripes across the hospital room, Thad knelt beside Sage's bed while she fed Luna. "Marry me," he whispered. "Not because of the babies, not because of any obligation. Marry me because these past months without you were hell, and I never want to spend another day not being your husband." Sage's free hand cupped his cheek, feeling the dampness of tears. "You already asked me once," she reminded him gently, "and I'll ask 1,000 more times if needed." He pressed something into her palm, her original engagement ring, restored to its rightful place. "I carry this everywhere, waiting for the right moment to return it to you." Luna chose that moment to coo softly, as if adding her approval. "Yes," Sage breathed, tears falling freely. 1,000 times yes. Their kiss was gentle, mindful of the precious bundle between them, but filled with promises of passion to come. The next morning brought more miracles. All 3 babies had gained enough weight to be considered for release within the week. Their vital signs were strong, their development right on track despite their early arrival. "They're fighters," Dr. Chen announced proudly, "just like their parents." As they prepared for life outside the hospital, Thad and Sage began planning their future. The mansion they'd chosen before their separation would need renovations. A nursery ×3, a combined studio where they could work while watching the babies, spaces for their family to grow. But more importantly, they planned their wedding. It would be intimate, with only those who had supported their love story. May from the vintage shop who had sheltered Sage, Jenny who had exposed the truth, Jasmine who had brought them back together. "No press," Sage insisted as they discussed details. "Just us, our children, our true family." "Whatever you want," Thad agreed, watching Nova sleep in his arms. "Though the business world might implode if they don't get photos of the Everhart triplets. They'll survive." Sage adjusted Atlas and Luna against her chest. "Our children will have normal lives, not tabloid fodder." Their peaceful planning was interrupted by news from the legal team. Valentina's trial date had been set. The evidence against her was overwhelming, ensuring she'd face consequences for her actions. "We don't have to think about that now," Thad said, seeing Sage's concern. "Right now, it's just us and our miracles." As if on cue, all 3 babies woke, demanding attention in perfect synchronization. "I think they're hungry," Sage laughed, already adjusting her nursing pillow. "All of them?" "Again?" Thad mock groaned, even as he expertly helped position the triplets. "Definitely your appetite." "Your timing," she countered with a smile. Together, they settled into the choreography of feeding 3 newborns, a dance they'd perfected over the past days. Each baby had their own rhythm, their own needs, but all 3 thrived under their parents' devoted care. As morning light painted the room in gold, Thad watched his family with wonder. Love had brought them full circle, from that first collision in an elevator to this moment of perfect completion. Atlas, Luna Grace, and Nova Rose dozed peacefully, unaware that their very existence was a testament to love's power to overcome any obstacle. Their parents' hearts beat in perfect synchronicity, finally whole again. The future stretched before them, bright with promise and possibility. They had survived the storm, emerging stronger, their love tested and proven unbreakable, and this was just the beginning. Chapter 11. Healing Hearts. The day they brought the triplets home marked the beginning of their true healing. Their mansion had been transformed during Sage's hospital stay, the nursery a masterpiece of both parents' artistic vision, with 3 custom-made cribs arranged like a perfect constellation. Thad carried Atlas, while Sage cradled the girls as they crossed the threshold. Every step felt momentous, charged with the weight of new beginnings. "Welcome home, my loves," Sage whispered to their children. Luna Grace and Nova Rose blinked up at her with identical expressions of wonder. while Atlas watched everything with his father's analytical gaze. The nursery took their breath away. During Sage's recovery, Thad had worked with her designs, bringing them to life in extraordinary detail. The ceiling was a painted night sky, constellations marking each child's birth position, custom mobiles hung above each crib, celestial bodies for Atlas, dancing figures for Luna Grace, and shimmering stars for Nova Rose. "It's perfect," Sage breathed, tears gathering in her eyes, "exactly as I dreamed it." "Your dreams brought us here," Thad said softly, shifting Atlas to wipe away her tears. "Every sketch you made while carrying them, every hope you held, I wanted to make it all real." Their first night home established new patterns. The babies, used to the NICU's constant monitoring, needed frequent reassurance. Thad and Sage took turns soothing their tiny warriors, learning each child's unique personality more deeply with every moment. Atlas proved to be the night owl, refusing sleep until he'd personally checked on his sisters. Luna Grace created midnight symphonies with her coos and movements, while Nova Rose slept peacefully, waking only to feed with a dreamy smile. Dawn found them in the nursery's rocking chair, Sage nursing the girls while Thad walked with Atlas, humming softly. "I never thought I could love like this," Sage confessed, watching their son finally drift off in his father's arms. "It's overwhelming sometimes. You, them, this life we're building." Thad knelt beside her chair, Atlas secure against his chest. "You've given me everything I never knew I needed. A real family, pure love, 3 perfect miracles." Their moment was interrupted by Luna Grace's artistic protest. She'd finished feeding and wanted everyone to know it. Her tiny hands conducted an invisible orchestra as Thad helped Sage adjust both girls. "Definitely your dramatic flair," he teased, earning a tired smile from Sage. "Your timing," she countered, remembering their ongoing debate about inherited traits. As the days passed, they settled into a rhythm uniquely their own. The mansion's studio became their command center, a space where they could work while keeping the babies close. Sage designed her new fashion line between feedings, incorporating elements inspired by their children. Thad managed Everhart Technologies remotely, his conference calls often accompanied by the gentle sounds of 3 sleeping infants. Their love deepened with each shared moment, each small victory in parenting triplets. The trust that had been shattered began to rebuild, stronger for having been tested. One particularly memorable evening, after successfully getting all 3 babies to sleep simultaneously, a rare triumph, they retreated to their bedroom balcony. The city sparkled below them as Thad held Sage from behind, both listening to the nursery monitor's peaceful breathing. "I found something today," he said softly, pressing a kiss to her neck. While organizing the studio, he produced a sketchbook, her pregnancy journal, filled with drawings and hopes from before their separation, pages of baby clothes designs, nursery ideas, and intimate thoughts about their future together. "I couldn't look at it before," she admitted, tracing the pages with trembling fingers. "It hurt too much, thinking you'd betrayed that trust. I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt my love again." His arms tightened around her. "Every dream in this book, every hope, I want to make them all come true." Sage turned in his embrace, the sketchbook pressed between them. "You already have. Look at our children, our home, our love. We survived the storm." Their kiss was tender at first, then grew passionate with renewed desire. They'd been cleared for intimacy by Sage's doctors, but hadn't found the right moment between caring for triplets and healing emotionally. "Are you sure?" Thad whispered against her lips. "We can wait." "I've waited long enough," she replied, pulling him toward their bed. "Make love to me, Thad. Help me remember every perfect moment we shared." Their reunion was gentle, mindful of her healing body, but charged with months of longing. Each touch erased another scar of separation. Each kiss rebuilt another bridge of trust. Afterward, tangled in sheets and each other, they talked about everything: Fears, hopes, dreams for their future. The conversation they should have had months ago, before letting external forces tear them apart. "I was so scared," Sage confessed, tracing patterns on his chest, "not just of losing you, but of raising 3 babies alone, of them growing up without knowing your love." "Never again," Thad vowed, kissing away her tears. "From now on, we face everything together. No secrets, no doubts, no letting anyone come between us." The babies, as if sensing the emotional moment, chose that time to wake up in perfect harmony. Both parents laughed, quickly dressing to attend their demanding audience. In the nursery, they worked in synchronized perfection, changing, feeding, soothing their little ones. Atlas supervised from his father's arms, while Sage settled the girls for their midnight meal. "They're getting bigger," Thad observed, watching Nova Rose's cheeks fill out as she nursed. "Growing strong like their father's love," Sage agreed, adjusting Luna Grace's position. The healing wasn't just emotional. Sage's body grew stronger each day, her surgical scar fading to a silver line that Thad kissed reverently each night. The triplets thrived under their parents' devoted care, reaching milestones that amazed their pediatrician. Their first family photo shoot captured the journey perfectly. Instead of formal portraits, they chose intimate moments in their home studio. Atlas, painting with his father's fingers guiding his tiny hands, Luna Grace wrapped in fabric swatches from her mother's designs, Nova Rose sleeping peacefully in a bassinet surrounded by both parents' artwork. These images would never make the society pages or business magazines. They were private treasures, documenting a love story that had overcome every obstacle. As their first month home drew to a close, Thad and Sage sat in their studio, watching their miracles sleep in perfect contentment. Sage worked on designs for their wedding outfits, while Thad sketched their children's peaceful faces. "I want to testify," Sage said suddenly, breaking their comfortable silence. Thad's pencil paused. "At my mother's trial." "You don't have to." "I do." She met his eyes steadily. "Not for revenge, but for closure. For our children to know that love always triumphs over hate." He gathered her close, mindful of her sketches. "Have I told you lately how extraordinary you are?" "Show me again," she smiled, leaning in for a kiss that promised forever. Their healing journey wasn't over, but every day brought new strength, new joy, new reasons to believe in their love's power. The triplets grew stronger, their parents' hearts knit closer, and their future brightened with each passing moment. What had started as a chance collision in an elevator had become an epic love story, one of trust rebuilt, hearts healed, and family bonds forged in life's fiercest storms. As night fell over their peaceful home, 3 babies slept soundly while their parents held each other close, grateful for every trial that had led them here. Their hearts beat in perfect synchronicity, finally, completely healed. Chapter 12. Justice Served. The day of Valentina Everhart's trial dawned bright and clear, a perfect autumn morning that belied the emotional storm brewing in the courthouse. Sage stood before their bedroom mirror, adjusting her couture suit, one of her own designs, power and elegance woven into every seam. "You don't have to do this," Thad said softly, coming up behind her with Nova Rose in his arms. Their youngest daughter reached for her mother with a sleepy smile. "Yes, I do." Sage took their baby girl, breathing in her sweet scent for courage. Not for revenge, but for healing, for our children's future. In the nursery, Atlas and Luna Grace were already awake, attended by their trusted nanny. At 6 months old, the triplets had grown into distinct personalities that amazed everyone who met them. Sage kissed each baby goodbye, memorizing their perfect faces for strength. "Mommy and Daddy will be home soon, my loves." The courthouse steps were crowded with media, all eager to witness the society scandal of the decade. Thad and Sage walked through the chaos hand in hand, their unity a stark contrast to the chaos Valentina had tried to create. Inside the courtroom, Valentina sat perfectly poised in designer wear, every silver hair in place, but her mask cracked slightly when she saw them enter. Not broken and bitter as she'd hoped, but stronger and more in love than ever. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Jenny Chen's meticulous documentation, Ariana Prescott's testimony about being coerced into participating, the paper trail of forged documents and manipulated media. It painted a damning picture of obsession and control. When Sage took the stand, her voice rang clear and true. Mrs. Everhart didn't just try to separate two people in love, she testified. She tried to destroy a family. While I was carrying her grandchildren, triplets who would need every ounce of strength to survive their early arrival, she was orchestrating elaborate deceptions to break their parents apart. Valentina's composed facade crumbled as Sage described the night she fled, believing the lies about Thad's betrayal. I was alone, pregnant, heartbroken, exactly as she planned. But what she didn't count on was the power of real love. The truth couldn't stay buried, just like our connection couldn't be severed. The jury's verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts: fraud, harassment, endangerment of both Sage and the unborn triplets. The judge's sentence was severe: prison time and permanent restraining orders protecting the entire family. But it was Thad's corporate judgment that truly served justice. As CEO of Everhart Technologies, he announced a complete restructuring of the company's charitable foundation. The billions Valentina had tried to control would now fund programs supporting young artists, designers, and entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. The Sage Winters Foundation, he named it, will ensure that talent and love always triumph over prejudice and power. The press called it a fairy tale ending, but for Thad and Sage, it was just another beginning. 6 months after the trial, they gathered their closest friends and family for the wedding they'd always dreamed of. The ceremony was held in their home's gardens, transformed into an enchanted forest of lights and flowers. The triplets stole the show as they preceded their mother down the aisle. Atlas, serious in his tiny tuxedo, carefully guided his sisters, who scattered rose petals with artistic enthusiasm. Luna Grace danced more than walked, while Nova Rose charmed everyone with her radiant smiles. Sage's dress was her masterpiece, a fusion of classic elegance and modern artistry, just like their love story. When Thad saw her, his eyes filled with tears of joy. Their vows were simple but profound. "You crashed into my life and scattered everything I thought I knew about love," Thad began. "Now I know that some collisions are meant to change us forever. I promise to love you and our children with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment we share." "You saw me, truly saw me, when the world only saw surfaces," Sage responded. "I promise to trust in our love, to nurture our family, to create beauty and joy with you for all our days." The reception celebrated not just their marriage, but the triumph of love over adversity. Jenny Chen, now head of IT security at Everhart Technologies, raised a toast to truth's power. May, from the vintage shop, cried happy tears as she welcomed Thad to their extended family. Jasmine shared stories of Sage's strength during their separation, making everyone laugh and cry. But the most touching moment came from an unexpected source. A letter arrived from Valentina, written from prison. "I was wrong. Watching you together, seeing my grandchildren grow through the photos in the papers, I finally understand. Love isn't about control or status. It's about making each other better, stronger, more complete. I don't ask for forgiveness, but I thank you for showing me what real love looks like." 3 years later, their family's story became legend in both business and society circles. Everhart Technologies thrived under their shared vision, with Sage's creative direction revolutionizing their approach to innovation. The Sage Winters Foundation transformed countless lives, creating opportunities for talented dreamers regardless of their background. Every success story felt like a personal victory, healing another scar from their past struggles. The triplets grew into extraordinary children, blessed with both parents' gifts. Atlas, the protector, showed early business acumen tempered by artistic sensitivity. Luna Grace danced through life, her creativity touching everything she encountered. Nova Rose's gentle spirit brought joy to everyone she met. Their home remained a sanctuary of love and creativity. The studio where they'd rebuilt their trust became a family space where art, fashion, and technology merged seamlessly. Every wall held memories of their journey, photos, paintings, children's drawings, each telling part of their story. On their third anniversary, Thad surprised Sage with a special gift. He'd commissioned a sculpture for their garden, 3 intertwined trees growing from a single root, their branches reaching toward the sky. "Like our love," he explained, holding her close as they watched their children play beneath it. Growing stronger through every storm, branching out but always connected at the heart. "Perfect," Sage whispered, "like the family we've built." Their love story became more than personal triumph. It became a beacon of hope. Young couples facing similar prejudices found courage in their example. Artists and entrepreneurs drew inspiration from their foundation's support. Even their corporate leadership style set new standards for balancing success with social responsibility. The media eventually tired of hunting for scandal, finding only a genuine love story that grew more compelling with time. Fashion magazines celebrated Sage's designs. Tech journals praised Thad's innovations. But their greatest pride came from raising 3 children who understood love's true value. As sunset painted the sky in colors that matched their journey, deep blues of trials overcome, radiant golds of love triumphant, Thad and Sage sat in their garden, watching their miracles play. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked softly. "The scandal, the pain, everything we went through?" Sage turned to him with the same radiant smile that had first captured his heart. "Never. Every step led us here, made us stronger, taught us the power of real love. Even my mother's schemes. Especially those," she laughed, pulling him close. "They proved our love could survive anything." As if on cue, their children ran to them, full of stories and dreams and endless love. Atlas proudly showed off a business plan written in crayon. Luna Grace performed her latest dance, and Nova Rose simply cuddled between them, completing their circle. Their story wasn't just about love conquering all, it was about love transforming all it touched. From that first collision in an elevator to this perfect moment, every trial had refined their connection, every obstacle had strengthened their bond. They had built something rare and precious, a love that not only endured, but elevated everyone it touched. Their legacy would live on through their children, their foundation, and the countless lives they'd helped transform. As night fell over their perfect paradise, stars appeared one by one, like the pieces of their journey coming together into a constellation of joy. Their love had become a masterpiece, painted in trust and forgiveness, framed in family and purpose, and this was still just the beginning.